98% of the wealth you'll make in your life will come from relationships.
That is pretty serious.
In college, you think it's about your grades. It's not about your grades at all. It's about your story. This Indian Mumbai-based engineer who has like 4 or 5 jobs in Silicon Valley, which means this guy's making like $1 million a year. It's not the fact that he was able to get those jobs, but it was how he got them. Because he's got a great story. If you aren't crafting a story, you will lose.
Stories are the only weapon against AI.
I was slightly depressed about AI. It is much more scary
than anything. AI will level the playing field.
I don't think it will. Technology tends to make big people bigger.
Caleb Franklin works with legendary creators like Sanjay Leela Bhansali, Farah Khan, and Amish Tripathi.
In this conversation, he breaks down what makes them unstoppable and how you can use those insights to stay on top of your game.
If you're doing it for the money, you will fail. You have to do it because...
Do you believe creators today have replaced traditional celebrities?
Young creators who will win are those who will create.
What do top directors make in India?
Established directors can make up to...
Creators should have kind of like a founder mentality.
I think we all should.
We all should.
Because we can't take for granted the concept of a job in the future, right? Like if we play this forward, and I was slightly depressed about AI because it is much more scary
than anything.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Right? And if you aren't crafting a story, you will lose. This guy Audit, who's the founder of Zepto, there's a video of him online where he's pitching his first startup, which is not Zepto. It's called Carpool or something in Dubai. And you see this kid, and I'm like, this guy is a freaking great storyteller. And, you know, he's talking about why he's excited about it, that he's in school, but he wants to spend this time doing it, and why carpooling matters. But in that, he's going through the steps. And that's why he raised money for that, which I think he got from the government of Dubai. And then he goes to found Zepto. And when you hear him talk about it, he's a very convincing storyteller.
You know, the word stories is an esoteric thing. It's like a luxury almost. You know, like, oh, I have to have a story because I don't want to be a creator. But, you know, your example that you gave, which I'd like you to talk about, is even with an engineer, you think it's important for them to have a story.
Absolutely.
Passionate about, you know, the product. But
well, I have a funny story before we go there, which is,
sure.
I think there's this guy named Sohan Parekh. You hear about this story? He's like, X has gone wild with this kid. He's this Indian Mumbai-based engineer who has like 15 jobs in Silicon Valley.
Right, no.
And he's hilarious. Like, there was a founder, and I forget the name of the guy, who basically came out and was like, "Has anyone else hired this guy Sohan Parekh?" And you know, we found out that he's been moonlighting, and has like 4 or 5 jobs in Silicon Valley, which means this guy's making like $1 million a year. Smart kid. What amazed me about that story was not the fact that he was able to get those jobs, but it was how he got them. My job, and the only thing I ever do in life is code. Like, I don't have any friends. I don't have any like attachments. All I do is code. And I would love to work for you. And this guy gets hired by like 5 companies because he's got a great story, right? Like he knows what those founders are looking for. He's crafted his personal narrative to that. And I think a lot of us need to...
Real or not.
Real or not, right? And so I know that guy's like a epic jugaru, as I like to say. But, you know, when it comes to like, I think young people today, you really got to understand your personal narrative, right? It will change your life and it will save you from AI. And I meet a lot of really interesting kids, but I don't think anyone taught them this. I think that in college, you think it's about your grades. It's not about your grades at all. It's about your story.
And when you say story, how can they use these centuries old concepts, which is the hero's arc, to create their story, and how will that help them?
You got to have 3 things. 1, you got to have a great log line. 2, you got to have a great premise. And 3, you got to have a hero's arc. What is a log line, right? Log line is 1 sentence. And if you think about it in movie terms, it's 1 sentence that kind of describes what your movie is.
Is it like the elevator pitch?
It's the elevator pitch if you're going 1 floor. I think a great log line comprises of a protagonist, an antagonist, and why this matters, right? So let's use Harry Potter, right? So if you were to ask a person who doesn't know this game well what Harry Potter is about, they would be like, oh, it's about some kids in a school and they have magic. And then Harry's like this kid and there's this wizard. And by that point, you've already lost, right? Like you've already missing it. And then you meet that guy and you're like, so what's Harry Potter about? And he's like, there's a prophesized child who needs to defeat an evil wizard to save the world. Something's changed, right? I've got a great hero. I've got a great antagonist and I'm saving the world, right? And when I meet like really great founders or solopreneurs or people who are interviewing, they've got to have a great log line, right? And you can adapt that to whatever you are in your life. But you got to have it.
Just so I understand, the log line is something that you tell other people, but more importantly, that you tell yourself.
Yeah.
It helps you to, focus and fine tune your mind into one direction.
Absolutely.
Your favorite band.
There you go. And, it also posits a goal for yourself, why you do what you do. And you got to be able to say that in 5 seconds, right? So I love it. And I think it's a great tool. The second is the premise, right? And so let's imagine that you're in that elevator with that big movie producer. Let's say it's Muko Diora who did The White Tiger. He liked your log line. And he's like, tell me more. That's your premise, right?
I see.
Think about it as a few sentences that now extrapolate on the log line. So we're going to talk a little bit more about who the protagonist is. We're going to talk a little bit more about the antagonist. And we're really going to spend a good amount of time talking about the goal of what we're trying to do.
And in your personal story, do you have to have an antagonist?
Well, you have to have an antagonary force.
Like that you're overcoming something.
Yeah, that you overcome something or there was an obstacle that you were able to get over. Like I find that people who are really just excellent at everything tend to be a bit boring.
Got it.
And they feel unreal. They feel like AI, right?
Just be raw, basically.
Well, be authentic. I hate that word because it's so like
overused and yeah.
But you gotta be authentic. Like I think about a lot of the famous comedians that I love. And what they tend to do very well is to be authentic and human to a fault.
Yeah. They really expand on and magnify their eccentricities.
Yes, exactly. Because that's relatable, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have hangups. We all got issues. We all got problems. There's nothing more boring than a movie. There's people with no problems.
Right.
Like there's enough show on Netflix, Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
They start you off with a huge problem. These guys lost all their money, right? They're in this motel and they're super rich. And that's the joy and the fun of watching that is how these people deal with their problems. AI is going to have a hard time replicating what it's like to be a human dealing with problems.
The messiness of life.
Messy is fun.
Right. And the last one of the 3 concepts was the hero's arc.
Yeah, the hero's arc. And this kind of goes to what I was saying earlier, which is, all right, so I got through my log line, right? I was able to convince Muko Diora to spend a little bit more time with me. And we're riding in the elevator and I told him my premise, which is a little bit more baked out of a log line. And he's like, Caleb, you're a nice guy. Want to grab a coffee? And when you grab that coffee, now you're going to give me the hero's journey. I want to understand why you do what you do. And every great hero's journey kind of starts with a hero that is called to do something who maybe doesn't want to do something, right? I graduated from Harvard and I had a job to work at an investment bank. And I had another option, which was I could apply for this fellowship and go to India, right? Now, every sane and logical person would do the investment banking job. That choice that I took, right, is the defining moment of my life. It's why I'm here today. There has to be a point is where what you thought you were going out to do turns out to be different than what you actually do, right? Like there was an antagonary force that you got over, and then that made you realize, oh, actually, this is what it is. And for me, I always wanted to be a film director.
Oh.
Yeah. And when I came to India, I made a film. It's called 100% Indian Hair. You can't find it anywhere.
It's called?
100% Indian Hair.
100% Indian hair.
It's about the global trade. By the way, it's a very interesting story. It's a multiple $1 million business of people who go to the temples in South Tirupati and all of this.
Right.
When you do the hair tonsure, they take that hair, they sell it to Korea. Korea repackages, and it winds up on Beyonce's hair, like hair extensions.
From Tirupati to Beyonce.
Yeah, there you go. And growing up in LA, you would always see these signs as you drove down the street, like 100% Indian hair, 100% Indian hair.
Oh, really?
And I was like, where's his hair from? Are there like people in India just like growing hair and cutting it off? And so it's very interesting. But I made that movie and I realized, I was a terrible director.
You directed it, right?
I directed
You wrote and directed
I co-directed it with Wonderful Woman and Alicia Bhagat. But I realized I was a terrible director. And I also realized that I loved the making of it happen. And how do we finance it? How do we sell it?
Right.
How do we put all these things together? And for me, that was my joy. It was not sitting in an edit room for hours and hours. But, like on my hero's journey, that was my sort of realization that I like kind of being behind the camera and I like kind of making things happen. And, that was a defining moment in my life. But all of us will have these moments where, we were called to something, we took a path that was perhaps not expected. And along that path, we faced a challenge that then maybe pivoted the way we think about the world. And then finally, in your hero's journey, you've got to have some sort of achievement or win. And that could be really big. That could be really small. It could be really external. It can also be really internal. But how did you achieve what you set out to do? And that, I think, are really like a great way to kind of encapsulate a great story.
And you're saying that everyone should do this as an exercise.
Oh, yeah, as an exercise. You need your log line, your premise, and your hero's journey.
Of your life, basically.
Yeah.
You said that stories are the only weapon against AI. What do you mean by that?
Well, in a world where you have a super intelligence that ultimately its job is replicating everything that's ever existed. Well, the only differentiation against everything that's ever existed is to create something that hasn't existed, right? And I think it's very hard for a director or an actor to do that in a way that people will engage with. But a writer or an individual with their own story can actually create something new, right? And when I think about the world to come, I think it's going to be like 3 or 4 great writers in a room and they'll be at their own movie studio.
And when you say stories, will save you from AI, do you mean a story that you create or a personal story as well? Like
both. I mean, like we interview a lot of people at our company, but when I'm sitting in front of you face to face, I'm kind of meeting a person and I want to know what makes them tick. And that comes from a good story, right? That doesn't come from your grades or your exams. It comes from why are you doing what you do? And I think most people fail, both in movies and in life, when they don't have a good story about themselves.
And so you were saying that, because you represent all these amazing writers and directors, some of the top writers and directors in India, how are they leaning into AI? And what could everybody learn from that?
Well, 3 things. Number 1, I don't believe that writers will ever be replaced, right? And so if you think about how we currently interact with AI, ChatGPT, Claude, all of these tools, it's with writing, they're prompt writing, right? Like if you can describe it, it can be built. And I think writers are naturally like predisposed to describing the worlds around them. So I think that's exciting. I think directors are also really hard to replace because I was with a director, a great director, and they were telling me about their decision on a shot. And that shot was, there's 2 people in a room and they're having a very intense discussion. That director then takes the camera and focuses not on the face, but on the leg. And there's someone whose leg is slightly twitching, right? Like it's very hard for AI to be like, someone's going to be nervous and I'm going to show that through their...
I mean, you'll have to tell it. So you'll have to direct the AI to do that.
Absolutely. And what it means to be human is going to evolve over time. So I think that's very hard to replace for good directing. But look, one of my clients is Shukun Batra, right? And I don't know if you saw, but he just launched Jaska AI. It's extremely exciting, right? And, I get a bit of the behind the scenes of how they do what they do. And it's pretty cool. He's working with a team from across the world, and they are reimagining how we tell stories through AI. And he's using a bunch of tools, but also he's adapting writing to this prompt writing. I can't disclose too much, but what I will say is they're not writing like 3 or 4 lines in describing a scene. Right? It's very exhaustive,
right?
How they define the prompts. And
the devil is in the details always.
Yeah, totally, right? And
I mean, we all use ChatGPT all the time, and now you have a prompt for the prompt.
Yes.
Which is all good, but it still ends up a bit sloppy. The whole thing is a bit sloppy.
Yeah, you got to go deep. And so I see someone like that. But you look at, I don't know, someone like Shekhar Kapoor, right, who just announced his AI series Warlords, right? They did a trailer and everything on it. So I think people are going to lean in, and especially in India where there's no guilds. Right? I think Hollywood...
No guilds, and it's a very cost-conscious culture.
Super cost-conscious. So I see AI becoming a much bigger part of our world. Did you see that movie Hanuman? I think it came out a year ago, 2 years ago.
A movie? No.
Yeah, it did really well. It was made on a budget of they say 40 crores. I hear 25 crores. And then it went on to do 300, 400 crores in the box office.
What?
Yeah, but it was this really passionate actor, producer who made it happen. Now I hear he used some AI in it, but we didn't care because it was a great story, right? And I think going forward, we're not going to think about this stuff as it's an AI or not. Is it a good story? Is it a good movie? Am I willing to take some rupees out of my pocket to watch it? And I think that's the differentiator.
Got it. You represent Amish Tripathi, the writer, as well, and you were saying that he's doing a lot of stuff with AI as well.
He's definitely looking at it. If you read any of his books, I know you and I both read the Shiva trilogy.
Amazing books.
Mish is a big fan of yours too. But when you read his books, they read like movies, right? And so if he can write like that, then why couldn't you just have him with an AI tool?
Get it. Just
go right there, right? And I think he's excited about that. I don't, we'll probably have some announcements on that soon, but
amazing.
He's prolific.
He's prolific, yes. There's this idea that AI will level the playing field. What do you think about that?
I don't think it will. Technology tends to make big people bigger, right? If you look at the world of, let's say, publishing in India, look at the sales, right? When ebooks came out, Kindle came out, everyone's like, now everyone can be an author. But if you look at the top 1 or 2 authors, and by the way, Amish is the number 1 author in India by far.
By far.
Right? You would think that with, the internet and e-commerce, that would have not been the case. But it's the case, right?
The long tail is a myth.
It's not a myth, but it's not big, right? I think in places like Japan or Switzerland or US, you can argue there's a long tail, but in India, it's about the big, right? They are what matters. And, today, a boom bomb is really, really big. Now, you could argue there's no boom bomb without the internet, but I would turn back to you and say, that guy's been kind of number 1, number 2, number 3 for the last 7, 8 years. You would think that it was all equal, all things equal, that you would have seen 10 or 15 of him. But he's just special and he's talented.
So you think the internet exacerbates inequality?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the people who built this stuff are not deeply thinking about it with equality in mind. And the best example of that is some of the most expensive offices in San Francisco. If you walk out of them and go 3 minutes down the street, there's homeless tent cities, right? So I don't think that's the game, right?
It's just something they say because they want everyone to use their products.
And they have a good story, right? You gotta have a good story. They have great stories. But you can't go to San Francisco and say these people are about making sure everyone wins.
Although you have when you're talking about story, I'm thinking of the legendary ad that Steve Jobs did, for Apple, I think saying think different or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he used that to launch, I think, the desktop
Correct.
Mac, which was, if I remember, a revolution in graphic design. So everybody could be a graphic designer. Don't you think those kind of things have, like the mobile phone, which is every creator's, everything. The mobile phone and the laptop, you can shoot a movie and then edit it with your, these two things basically, which would be impossible, 10, 15 years ago. So do you not think it has also massively democratized the playing field?
I think the purpose is to grow and to evolve the tech. And I think we tend to
to sell the tech.
Yeah, it's to make money.
Yeah, I'm creating it to sell the tech.
Correct.
Okay.
They didn't give the phones away for free.
Right.
So
it's a side effect.
But
when AI have not that kind of side effect?
I don't think the people who are building AI today are necessarily worrying about the jobs that will be lost. And in fact, we should be happy that they aren't, right? They're just thinking about how do we build the best AI models. And that's their job and that's their story.
But then, so that's their story, but they're building this AI, which everybody's using. And how do you think it will, make it worse, make it easier for the bigger people to get bigger and harder for the smaller people?
I mean, look, we're moving to a world that I don't believe is going to be about money. I think it's going to be about compute power and energy, right? Because if you have the ability to run a super intelligence, you and I talking about me a lack, when you a lack, it doesn't matter. There's people who are playing with infinite amount of data and compute power that can achieve results, data, intelligence at a massive level. I think it's going to be a great tool for everyone to have, but I do think that there are going to be people who are going to have massive power and the ability to use it. By the way, that's why the US and China and Europe and Canada, they're all building their own models. Because I think they know where this goes. Hopefully India will build its own model. I hope. I think this would be a geopolitical issue then.
Definitely.
Just a personal.
Training it locally basically and keeping the data local. I think every country wants to do that.
Yeah. I used to, because I like a little bit of fear mongering. It's always good. And people used to tell me why do you think that places like Google or Facebook control us? It's just like a fun social media platform. I said, let me give you an example. If you and I land up in Lucknow and we want to go out to eat, we Google search best places to eat in Lucknow. Now, those searches are somewhat based on organic truths, but some of that's paid, right?
A lot of it is paid.
Yeah.
I would say most of it is paid.
Yeah. And then you and I will go to the number 1, number 2, number 3. Now, you may not see that as our behavior being controlled, but it is.
Right.
Right? I think AI takes it a step further. Because with AI, you say, hey, I'm going to Lucknow. What should I do? And you're not even going to choose. It's going to tell you where to go and it's going to book your reservation and it's going to get you a discount to eat there. Right? So it's game changing. And the people who kind of control what goes into the machine are going to have enormous power.
Do you believe creators today have replaced traditional celebrities with regards to cultural influence?
I wouldn't say replaced, but they're definitely more a part of the equation than they were before.
But has there been any influencer starring movie of note?
You just had B.U. Nick, who was in a film with, I believe, Sanjay Dutt, that did pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
You have Bhuvan Bam on the number 1 show on Hotstar. Taza Kabir. It's already happening. But I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as like a sort of a natural evolution. I think there's a difference between a celebrity and an actor, right? So I don't think influencers, creators are disrupting actors.
Got it.
Right? I think they're disrupting celebrities. Because celebrity has always been about attention, mind share, right? And so, yeah, in that game, creators have a heads up. They're pumping out a movie every week. But an actor like this Ahan Pandey, who was just in this Sayara, people are going to go back and pay money to watch him. So it's India. I think all boats are kind of growing. But when it comes to like percentage of brand spend, oh yeah, the creators are there for sure.
And do you think, because again with movies, it's always about gatekeepers. The traditional model, compared to an influencer who's, like you said, making a movie a week, he or she is like, screw it. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going to audition. I'm not following any system. I have a camera. I'm just going to start in my bedroom and then grow it and grow with my audience. And then, I've seen somewhere they have, car chases and everything, like a full team. It's like a mini movie. But what's amazing for me about that is that they are doing it outside the system. How do you do things without that? Which is, I think, the most interesting thing about this revolution that's happened. So how do you think that is changing the way the gatekeepers work?
Well, one could argue today there is no gate, and that keeps us up at night in the business. Like I was, Jason Blum, who owns Blumhouse Entertainment, they do all the big movies, horror movies and other stuff.
The biggest horror movie producer in the world.
But he said something very...
And the most profitable...
super profitable.
...studio in the world.
But he said something very interesting, which is, his father was an art dealer. And when you're selling paintings, it's a lot easier because those paintings don't cost $50 million to make or 40 crores or 100 crores to make. But when we were in the business of creating movies, we're in commercial art. So when someone's putting down, 50, 70, 120 crores, we hear these numbers about like how much a movie costs. We don't think about like where that money comes from. I have to think about it a lot. And so when you're putting that money on the table, well, then there needs to be a return on it. And I think that does create these gates. To your point.
Cautiousness and, it's a financial model has to exist for a movie, a traditional movie or a traditional series because it's multiple crores.
And technology has kind of killed the gates. They killed the gatekeepers. The Mongols are at the door because distribution used to be really expensive, right? Like when I first started in the business, like getting a movie into, 5,000 theaters across the world was a gargantuan task. That's why you need a Warner Brothers. That's why you need a Disney. And you need a bunch of money. Today, you can get your movie out to people for free, right? So that gate's fallen down. What's happening now with AI, which I think is freaking all of us out, is you can now make a movie for 2-3 lakhs. And it could look, I'm not going to say like a Hollywood movie, but it could look close to it. And so I don't believe in gates. I believe in stories. And I think stories will always win. And I think the people who create and write stories are really going to be the heralds of the future.
Your clients are creators, basically, Sanjay Leela Bhansali, Farah Khan, Amish Tripathi, all these people, and all the amazing writers you work with, they're all, creators at the top of their game. What do they understand about stories that you've spoken about? Personal stories, stories in general, storytelling, that you think everyone can learn from, including a 23-year-old who's just left college and who wants to become, a creator, a YouTube creator.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think people quite understand how prolific these people are in terms of the amount of creation that they do.
Got it.
Right? Like a lot of people ask me like, how do we choose who we sign at my company? Right? Well, how do we think about the artists we want to work with? And oftentimes it's not about like one great script or one great movie. And we kind of looking for that person who can do 3 or 4 movies in a year, or 3 or 4 scripts in a year, I should say, or a movie every year. Like you look at Steven Spielberg's IMDb, the guy's done like 65 films. It's crazy. I think young creators who will win are those who will create more, not the best stuff, but constantly in the process of creation. And you see it everywhere. Like you go to YouTube today, it's not necessarily the best creator who becomes Mr. Beast. You become Mr. Beast because that guy just creates as much stuff as he can. He's constantly in a process of creation. And I think a lot of creators, actors, writers, you'll meet them and, they've been writing their first script for the last 4 years. I think that's where,
Fail fast. get it out there and, move on.
Yeah. One of the great things is like when you create stuff, you never fail when you create something, right? Like I think about the story of, do you know like Michael Crichton who did
many things.
Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park, of course.
So Michael Crichton failed in writing a movie called Emergency Room. And it stayed on the shelf of the agency I used to work on for many years. And then someone was like, look, we're looking for a really cool TV show about hospitals. And they went and they picked up this film written by Michael Crichton, Emergency Room, and they turned it into ER. Right. Which is today, I would argue, the most commercially successful television show of all time.
Ever.
So when you're creating, it's never a failure.
It's never a failure.
And that's the beauty of that. You know what I mean?
So just stay massively prolific, because along with the creativity, which is a personal effort, is an expectation. How do you manage that?
And first and foremost, you got to get a great agent.
How does a upcoming influencer or creator get Caleb Franklin?
Well,
I think that is the most important question of the podcast.
The sad thing about, it's so funny. I forget the name of the actor, but he talks about like, what does it mean to be an actor? And it's not about actually acting in movies. It's about losing as many auditions as possible, right? Like,
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like,
so you just reframe failure.
You got to reframe failure. Like, as a young actor or as a young writer, your actual job, the 90% of the time, is creating stuff that people go, it sucks, right? Like, that's the truth of it.
Unless you're Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I'm sure Leonardo DiCaprio has probably lost a lot of auditions earlier on in his career, but you got to do that. It's almost the rite of passage. And I think that we look at great artists and we think that they don't face that too. What I will tell people is, if you are really deeply concerned about the fact that your video that you posted didn't get 8 million views, that may be a signal that maybe this isn't your passion. Because you can go on YouTube today and there's people who've been making hundreds of videos and they don't care.
Right.
They're not doing it ultimately for the artist. They're doing it for themselves. They're doing it for their story.
They don't care at all. They care a little bit.
They care a little bit, but that's not why they're doing it. Right. Like my wife is a big influencer. Yeah. She's amazing. Anisha Dixit, guys.
Yes.
She doesn't do it for views.
Right.
And she doesn't do it for money. Like you could do a lot of other things to make money.
Got it.
If you're doing it for the money, you will fail. You have to do it because there's something inside of you, back to your story, that drives you to wake up in the morning and do that.
Yeah. I just met a friend's daughter like that. She's an amazing singer, and she was asking me about singing, but she also loves food. So should she be an influencer? And what kind of influencer? She has so many interests. What advice would you give someone like that?
Yeah. I would say, think about your experience in life and figure out the things today that are as least human as possible and find ways to replicate that with AI. And think about the things that are most human and get really good at that. Right?
Oh.
At the end of the day, I have a reasonable amount of job security. Right? Like they call us agents. It's a terrible word. We're really kind of like therapists, advisors, pundits. I mean, we do everything. Catalysts, change makers, whatever you want to call us. But at the end of the day, like, my job is to pick up the phone on someone and say, what can I do for you today? And that changes every day. You can't replicate that with AI, right? That doesn't go away. There's a lot of part of my job that will go away,
So lean into the humanity.
Lean into the humanity. Lean into the experience. If there's something you're doing or spending a lot of time on that doesn't touch people in an authentic way, then figure out how to replicate that. And the things that do touch people, lean in heavy to those.
What are the biggest mistakes that creators make once they start getting traction?
One, they change what they create. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be a factory for the same thing over and over, but I often think people tend to like to pivot too fast after they've got something good. So that's number one. Like, if
You don't think they lean in when they've got something good?
the ones who are successful do, but the ones who fail tend to be like, oh, I had this really hot viral video. Now I need to do something different. Instead of realizing that user behavior on these platforms is that I see a video of you doing X and I like that. So I follow you and I'm actually looking for a bit more of X. Instagram knows this as well, right? Like these platforms know it. But you see people who are like scattershotting.
You don't have to feel that, oh, I've done the same thing and again.
Not at all.
The audience is not
at all.
in that way. Got it.
They're not thinking about it because they're not consuming in the time that you're creating. So you kind of think that creation and consumption are happening on the same timelines, but they're not. And the reason that is that you and I have both found like a really funny person online and we're just consuming all of their content. That content could have made 4 years ago and it could be made last month.
So lean into what works.
Yeah, lean into what works. Number 2 is not understanding your audience, right? And living with who your audience is. And so you'll see a lot of people who are very high-minded and for right reasons about the art they make. I will never tell someone you should or should not make something. But you need to understand that in the commercial aspect of it, there is an audience out there that's going to consume what we make. And I think the people who are really successful are the people who kind of do the trade-off of this is what I want to say and this is what I think the audience also wants to hear from me.
Got it. How do I get to know my audience? I mean, I read the comments.
It's been a lot more difficult. It's one of my criticisms of the OTT space, right? Because
it's like a black box.
Yeah, it's like you're creating into a vacuum. And they do that because they don't want us to know how successful the content is because they don't want to pay us. You go on Netflix, you go on Amazon Prime Video, all of us have like content fatigue, right? We start to feel like everything kind of feels the same. Or we don't, or you have to ask your friend, like, what's that good show I should watch right now?
Right.
That didn't kind of used to be that way. And I think it's that way because creators, directors, writers, screenwriters, actors, they're not getting the direct feedback that you used to get.
But you're saying real-time feedback.
Real-time feedback, right? So like if you're in that...
Now you have the whole show out and you binge the whole show. You have no idea what's happened.
If you're in that writer's room, I created something that was really good. And then you can use that to improve your process. Today, what data do we get? It was in the top 10.
It's not granular at all.
Yeah, so people can't get better. I would argue that it's been great because, Netflix, Amazon, it's created more opportunities for people. But it's been bad because it doesn't allow artists to be deeply connected to their audience.
And on YouTube and Insta, though, you get the feedback.
Oh, yeah, you get it immediately, right? Like you get people like, this is Bagwas immediately.
So just dive into feedback.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's where people kind of go wrong, is that they are not spending enough time truly understanding who their audience is. And more importantly, for the future, curating that audience, right? Like, I think if we were talking about AI earlier, if I was a creator today, I would find the most niche community that I could own and then grow from there, right? Like there's nothing better for you than word of mouth. And word of mouth online means liking, commenting, sharing, right? Find that community and use that as your platform.
Don't go broad in the beginning.
Because we don't even know what broad means today.
Right.
Like in India, it is so diverse.
Yeah.
Like we like to put this into one box as an audience, but we have different languages. We have different taste. So that's what I would say. Like get your niche right first and then expand from there. The fourth thing is not building a team. Right. So I meet a lot of really great creative people who are doing it on their own, which we all do when we start off. And then they like want to solopreneur their digital content business.
Take the solo word a bit too soon.
Yeah, you're way too into that.
Right.
Right. Like you go to the US, you see like Darman, Mr. Beast.
Right.
These guys are companies. They own studios. There are teams.
Right.
And the people who tend to win have great teams.
Right.
And I would say this for every artist, right?
It goes back to the founder mentality.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you're spending 5 hours every month
right.
thinking about your TDS and your GST reconciliation.
Right.
That's 5 hours you're not spending on creating.
Right.
Like, I think people completely undervalue agents, representatives, managers for the ability that they have to allow you to create. It's actually, and I know I'm like self-promoting here, but it's actually a blessing.
No, for sure.
The time VCs, right? They're giving you extra time in exchange for a percentage of the success. And in Hollywood, there's a robust ecosystem of this because I think it's a very skilled business where time matters.
And
we got to get
time
there.
matters everywhere, but there people know that time matters.
Time matters, bro.
In India, time is always seen, even when you talk to Netflix or Crunchyroll or anyone, it's like, Indians have a lot of time. Less money, more time.
Yeah.
That's the Indian, that's the view that the tech companies, the Western tech companies have of India.
And hopefully they'll be proven wrong.
I love what you said about the team. And I was thinking about it from this other thing, which is so important for founders as well, because everybody says, I did this, I'm an influencer, I'm a podcast host, me. But there is no me. Nobody built anything without a team.
Yeah.
Like, do you also feel that it's about, building people's skills and learning to motivate other people to come along with you on your journey so you can grow?
You're totally right. And that gets to my fifth point. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh,
Which is you got to be a part of a scene.
right.
Think about the fact that James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, who did The Godfather? What's his name?
Francis Ford
Coppola.
And George Lucas.
And George Lucas were all buddies.
And they all wrote scripts for each other.
And they all showed each other their movies first. What you realize is that great art and great artists or great founders exist around each other because they make each other better.
Not in a vacuum.
So there's a team that you have that supports you, but there's also a team of people externally that are like your soundboards and your competitors and your friends. I don't think most people realize it's a very lonely business.
Lonely business, yeah.
Like you're like,
You're in your room.
you're in your room and then you're editing for like 5 hours and then you release and then you're commenting. Like it can be very lonely. So you've got to be in places and in scenes that are going to make you better. And I think the people who get that do really well. And I think the people who don't, we see them kind of die off.
So kind of be part of the physical world as well. Don't disappear into the matrix.
Oh, don't disappear. Don't disappear.
We're making this connection between these super successful writers, directors, basically creators and storytellers that you work with, on top of their game in Hollywood and in India.
Yeah.
And what we want to see is what habits can we take from them
Yeah.
that anyone today can use, any creator today, who's on their phone can use.
I think number one is like they create space. And when I say create space, I mean you're creating space to be creative. Especially today where like you can be doom scrolling forever. A lot of people think like I need to be consuming, I need to find trends and all that. I tend to find the people who are like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go sit on a bench for an hour a day and just look at the sky and think. Tend to come up with some really crazy stuff, right?
When you say creative space, sorry, do you mean
Personal space.
yeah, like almost like embracing boredom?
Yes. And quiet, right?
Because today, for most people, quiet and sitting on a bench, like you said, for most people means boredom because we're just so used to
Well,
our devices.
and then
So embracing
the other kind of scary thing is we also think of it as unproductive,
unproductive, yes.
right? Like you didn't vibe code your life.
Right.
You weren't spending your time right. Now, like go sit and just look at the ocean or go sit on your balcony and focus on your breath
Right.
and see it as a part of your work. One of the greats at this is Dibakar Banerjee, who I love.
Right.
He's
Amazing guy, yes.
amazing. I mean, just a beautiful. Number 3, saying no. Gotta say no.
I like that.
People at the top of their game say no a lot, right? It's 90% no's.
Right.
Because if you're saying yes to everything, you're not probably making the right decision. Now, let me preface that by, I usually say yes to every idea or creative and to really think about it and deal with it, but you should not be doing everything that comes your way. And I think the really successful people have gotten very good at saying no. And they've gotten very good at setting up filters in their life.
Right.
Those options don't even come to them.
Yeah, set up those filters, automatic filters. Otherwise, you're just going to get bombarded and snowed over by a plethora of options. And you're...
Yeah, no one's taken Sanjay Leela Bhansali PR Kapanchnama 5.
Right.
It's a filter. And by the way, I love that movie. It's a fun movie. But, like you start to know. And I think really successful people have those.
I like that.
Things in place. There's a habit for success, right?
Yeah.
Force priority, force optimization. What do I mean by that? I had a mentor who once taught me a great lesson. He said, Caleb, show me your to-do list. And I love to-do list. People who work for me and with me will tell me, Caleb, you're like crazy about to-do list. I love to-do list.
How many things are on your to-do list?
Today?
Yeah.
8.
Got it. So you have a daily to-do list?
Well, 9. It's called 135. Right? Every day in the morning, I create my 135. Number 1 is you have to ask yourself this question. What is the most impactful thing I can do today?
Right.
Not this week, today.
Right.
That will drive the biggest return in my life. And you write that down. And then you have 3. What are the next 3 things? And then you have 5. What are the next 5 things? Now, you can't do 5 until you do 3.
Got it.
And you can't do 3 until you do 1. Right? And what you tend to find is that most of us delay the thing that we can do today that will have the biggest impact in our life for many, many days because we may be afraid of it. But I find that really successful people kind of get very focused and understand what can they do. One thing that will change the outcome of their life, their business, or whatever it is, and then they do it. So that's it.
Is there one thing every day that can change the outcome?
I think there's one thing you can do every day that will have a massive outcome effect. It may not be an immediate result, but yes, there's one decision that you can do every day that's going to drive you to much better outcomes for your life.
Got it. Nice.
Number 5 is getting very good at follow-up. Right? I think in college, young people are taught to bullshit. Right? Like it's sort of our core skill set that we learn. Like you get a book, you need to read that book in 3 days and you do a book report on it. Right. And then none of us read the book.
I think that happened at school as well.
Yeah, it's like how we learn. In real life, I've found nothing more powerful than a person who says, I don't know, but I'll find out. Right? There's a great story about the CEO of CAA, a guy named Richard Levitt, who, when he was a very young agent, signed then a very successful but young actor named Tom.
CAA is like
Creative Artists Agency.
One of the top agencies in the world.
Right. And I worked there for 10 years.
Right.
But Richard would just call Tom Hanks every day and talk to him. And Tom would ask him questions. How did the box office do this? And Richard would just say, I don't know. I'll find out. I don't know that. I'll find out. If he wasn't 100% sure of something, he would just say, I don't know. I'll find out. And then he would do just exactly that. And what it does is it gets people to trust you and trust what you say, right? Like, I think that we've gotten way too comfortable with half answers, half truths. And it's led to a place where I'm not going to call it low trust, but it's not as high of a trust.
And low quality also. Low trust, low quality.
Yeah, you know.
Like, I don't really care. You don't really care.
Yeah, like, where's the building? Oh, it's over there.
Right.
You go to Japan and you ask someone for directions. Not only will they tell you exactly where it is, they will hold your hand and walk you there.
Right.
Right? Are you that certain of what you're saying?
Right.
And I love having the humility and the fragility to be honest. I don't know. So today, if I don't know something, I won't say it. I don't know. I'll find out. I'll go search and I'll come right back to you. But I come back fast.
So follow up.
Yeah. And build trust.
Build trust.
Right? Build trust.
Are there, how many people does Matter represent?
Over 120.
120. So you must be getting the same kind of thing that you're saying, which is, thousands of people must be sending you there, trying to contact you to represent them for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure about it. What are red flags that you look at that tell you, a creative person, a creator is, not going to make it, something to watch out for?
If I were to say there are some red flags, I would identify it in 3 things. Number 1, not prolific enough, right? So you say you're doing something, but you actually don't do it.
Got it.
Right? You say you're an actor, but you haven't acted in 2 years.
Yes.
You're not an actor.
Yes.
Right? And that's okay. But we got to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Number 2, commercial bias. So in the world of film and TV, at least, I think that we often can sometimes be too swayed by commercial success, right? As
they're always looking at and comparing that guy did this, that one did this.
Like, the greatest directors had the best box office is not always true. Sometimes they correlate, but sometimes really bad artists have great commercial outcomes. And I think in my job, I have to spend a lot of time making sure I don't have that bias, right? And really asking myself truthfully, do I think that this person is talented? And over time, what happens is that you begin to have a certain guidelines of your own self. Like that, it doesn't mean that people outside of that are bad.
An internal compass.
But it's an internal compass because you got to be true to that. And there may be an artist that someone thinks is bad who's actually great to someone else. And that's the fun of our game. But I think, I always encourage people who work with Matter to be so true to what they think is good. Because honestly, this is hard. Right? It's not easy to get a movie made. It's not easy to get a series picked up on a Netflix or an Amazon or a Z5. So when the going gets tough, are you going to fight for this story, for this idea? And you'll find that people who are kind of just brokering or packaging, those guys fall off. Those ladies fall off. But if you really truly believe in a story and an idea, you'll go to distance with it. And I think that's what you want to find. So I don't know if it answers your question, but.
No, I can see a relevance to anyone with that.
Yeah.
For any level of creator, everybody wants to make money as well. And, so that comes in the form of some monetization or a brand sponsorship or something. How do you stay true to yourself, like you're saying? And how do you navigate that world where you got to, sell out in some way because you got to make money, you got to earn a living, but you have to be true to yourself. You're authentic to your audience, but you got to have, the Nescafe cup or whatever it is. How do you manage that? And how have you seen some of the pros do it?
Look, I'm a money guy, right? I like money. This may not be the best advice for everyone. So I'm going to acknowledge that before I answer your question. I personally believe that when you make money or you have some type of monetary objective in your art, you're aligning to your audience in a way that you're somewhat understanding what they value. Because what people take out of their pocket and pay you is the best sign that they enjoyed or value what you do. And so I think that in film and TV, it's a bit easier. In digital, there's a lot of answers on how people are making money. I just found that there's an influencer, and I got to get her name, but she's on Instagram. She has figured out that you can have an Instagram like private subscription or like a subscribers only page on your Instagram. She charges 399 rupees for that a month, and she has 6,700 subscribers. So this girl is making 24 lakhs a month.
Oh,
with private subscriptions. She doesn't need brands, right? So there are ways to monetize. I just think that you have to think about it. Who's this amazing? I love her. She's an influencer. She's an actress, but she's created a line of shapewear. Kusha Kapila. Right? I look at that and I go, wow, you're really taking a bet and creating a product that you believe in, and you're monetizing it, right? So people like to use this word monetize. I like to think of it as, are you creating something that people value? And then if you're doing that, you will figure out a way to make money.
Got it. In 2025, there was a report from WPP, which estimated that creator platforms will make more ad revenue than traditional media. Do you think that's a cultural shift or just a financial shift?
I think it's a consumption shift. I think brands want to be where people are. The overwhelming amount of money spent today by brands is on sports. It wasn't the case when I started in the business. The overwhelming amount of money that brands spent was on television, because we would all get together as a family and look at a television screen. The overwhelming amount of money that brands are spending today is, of course, on digital, because that's where we spend our time. So cultural, financial, I just think brands are selling products and they want to go where people are. And they're online more today than ever.
You worked with, some of the biggest writers in India, writer of Dangal, Mirzapur, Scam, 1992. These are the, biggest movies and shows pretty much ever in India. How do they reach this level? Like, I just want to try to make a playbook. That's what this whole conversation is about in a way. Because a writer is also, it's a very lonely process.
Yeah.
I've written some scripts before. It's like being a creator. It's worse than being a creator, because the creator is in a room putting out stuff, but then getting some feedback digitally.
Yeah.
A writer is just writing and writing and writing, and then showing it to like one director. If he's working with, it's like that, literally like 5 people and back again and back again. And the time gap for a writer between, having an idea and doing something and seeing something out of it is years.
Yeah.
So it's like the opposite of today's digital creator. But there in that is some deep lesson, because they can really stay focused for that time.
Yeah.
And stay true to something to make something that's going to be seen 3 years later.
Yeah.
If they're lucky. If they're lucky, it's 3 years later. Otherwise, from the minute a writer has an idea to it being released in the cinema is like 10 years also.
Yeah.
In many of the best movies we've seen. So how do these writers, because we talked about, embracing failure, failing fast and growing. How does a writer do that when his cycle is so long?
Yeah.
And what can we learn from that?
Well, look, I think number one, realize that the average screenplay is 90 to 120 pages. In India, sometimes it goes up to 130. A great writer is in their head has about 300 pages of material, and they do a bunch of research. They're super passionate. We, of course, see that 90 to 110 or 120 pages in the final product. But they are so deep in this world, in these characters, that they almost live them. And I think, the writers you mentioned, but all great writers, they live in their worlds and they're very deep. And they condense it for us. But they live there. And I think that's why they win. The second thing is...
So you're saying are you saying that they're deeply authentic?
Sunitara Puravala, most people don't know. She's amazing. She wrote Mississippi Masala. She just did Whack Girls on Amazon Prime Video. Ye Ballet, right? Like, she is so deep in her writing and her creation that it's almost beautiful to watch what she does, right? And so we, of course, see a 30-minute episode, but they are living in those worlds. And I think that's what makes a great writer. Number 2 is collaboration, right? And so the truth is, most writers, when they write something, are going to be talking to a producer, a platform, a director. And if you're the type of person who does not take feedback well, you will not live long as a Bollywood or a Hollywood writer, because all you're getting is notes. And knowing and understanding what of those notes are stupid and what of those notes are right is also a really important skill set of a great writer.
So like how to sift through audience feedback in a dispassionate way.
Well, think about it. I mean, as a writer, you're so early in the process that you're getting feedback even before a movie's greenlit, right? Like, so you've got to navigate, how do I get my project made while also taking in notes from a meeting you had with a director or a meeting you had with a platform executive. And some of those you take and some of those you have to fight for. Like, people who take all notes, this stuff doesn't get made. I think there's a kind of weird sadistic part of our business where we want to give feedback and see what people will fight for.
So stand your ground kind of thing.
Gotta stand your ground.
And just out of curiosity, what do top writers in India make for a series or per episode or a movie?
Yeah. So when I first came here, a writer on a television show episode, just before the platforms, would make 30 to 40,000 rupees, roughly about per episode.
A princely sum.
Yeah, princely sum. Today, we're doing deals that are 15 to 20 lakhs an episode.
Right. Just for the writer.
Just for writer. But I would say the average can be around 3-4 lakhs an episode.
And for a movie, like a solid movie, not a
writer with a good script who's just starting out can sell a script for 20 to 25 lakhs. And there are writers today who charge 5-6 crores for a script.
5-6 crores.
Yeah.
Wow. And directors for a series and for a movie?
It's subjective.
Of course.
But,
we're in a subjective medium.
It's a wonderfully subjective medium. There is no price list for this. But new director, I've seen people at 40, 50 lakhs. Established directors can make up to 30, 40 crores.
30, 40 crores.
A film.
So that's why you wanted to be a director.
Yeah.
From your vantage point, where is India leading the world when it comes to storytelling and production, telling global stories?
One of the reasons I'm here is that I think that India has such amazing promise globally for the stories that are coming out of here and the storytellers that are here. I will say that I worry that perhaps we have declined in our global footprint as a soft power storytellers. And, when I first went into a Hindi class when I was in college and I was watching Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, it was a time where I think people really watched very deeply globally Indian cinema and Indian content. Today, I still think that's there, but I kind of worry that we need to do more as an industry to ensure that Indian voices and Indian stories are on the world stage.
Do you think it's important though, firstly, that India makes stories for the world? Or is it okay for Indians to be
I think it's
happy?
Absolutely necessary. If there's any existential crisis I see, it's around who's going to define what it means to be Indian.
For the world?
Yeah, for the world. Because when I go to Kansas and I say, who's your favorite Indian actor? A person will say Dave Patel. And I say, who's your favorite Indian director? They'll say Mindy Kaling. Those are great. I love them both. But, I think we can't take for granted the opportunity that we have from India to really push forward our stories, our voices, our narratives.
Like Korea, when you see Korea, everybody watches everything that's coming from Korea.
Yeah.
We have, one movie a year or something like that. Is it that much also in the last 10 years? Not even that much that breaks up.
Yeah, but the Korea thing we have to contextualize, right? There was a concerted effort by the government and by major conglomerates in Korea to say, we want to be a global voice. It was not given that Korea would be what it is today. There's a woman named Mickey Lee who was at CGA Entertainment. She's fantastic. She dedicated 10 years of her life to do it. I think we need to find that support, and we need to find these sort of leaders who are going to say, we need to put India on the map from a storytelling perspective. Was it Yuval Noah Harari who says, myth maketh man, right? The stories we tell define our future. Steve Jobs inspired a lot of movies to create what he's created, right? So are we telling our stories? And we need to understand how powerful and valuable it is for us to get those out in the biggest way possible.
You represent some of the top directors in India like Sanjay Leela Bhansali, Farah Khan and Kiran Rao. What do top directors make in India?
I mean, you made The White Tiger. I think that's a movie that people talk about around the world, right? Like when I say people I'm in the Indian film business, TV business, they mention The White Tiger. But you got RRR, right? That people loved. So we're doing it, but are we doing it at the level that we need to and that we can? I would say no.
In your opinion, what makes a piece of content future-proof? Because, like you said, timelines change. And so, yeah.
If I would say anything is future-proof, I would not be acknowledging the fact that everything dies. I don't think anything is truly future-proof.
Not even Pulp Fiction.
Not even Pulp Fiction. And I know that because there's young people today who don't know who Michael Jackson is. I thought that was about as future-proof as it could be.
They are?
For sure. There are young children today who don't know who Prince is.
Prince? Okay.
Yeah.
What's one bold belief you hold about the future of entertainment that not everyone agrees with?
AI is a good thing. I think it makes us better. And a lot of people will hate me for saying it, but especially in India, I don't see it as a negative force. I actually see it as a very positive force. I think it's going to empower a lot of creative people to make things and tell stories and dream dreams that they couldn't do before. That's a good thing. We have to make sure that that's handled responsibly, but I don't see it as an evil.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
You can make a house with a hammer, or you can kill someone with a hammer.
You can also be MC Hammer.
You can be MC Hammer. Get the pants.
Yep.
India's 3 biggest content platforms are YouTube, Instagram, and all the streamers, all the OTT platforms. Because we don't have TikTok here. What is AI doing to them? How is AI changing the way they produce, distribute, monetize, regulate content?
YouTube's already coming out saying they're demonetizing it.
Right. Because on one side, they're saying they're demonetizing it. On the other side, they've given you, what's it called? That crazy model that allows you to have insane AI. VO3. So they're obviously part of Google. So they're getting the best AI, Gen AI tech coming in regularly. And of course, as part of Meta, spending billions, tens of billions on AI. So both these platforms are going to have massive amounts of AI tools for creators. But at the same time, they have to watch out for slop, too much slop, basically.
Yeah. I think what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of really bad stuff. It's just going to help a lot of people make a lot of really bad stuff. It's going to help a few people make some really, really good stuff. And what distinguishes that is going to be what the audience wants.
And the originality, the humanness,
Oh, for sure. I don't know. You go on Pinterest today.
Right.
It's like 98% AI.
Wow.
Hey, I want to figure out how to design my house. I want like black curtains. And you go there to find like other people who put black curtains in the house. And then you just find the results of AI prompts, right? I think that's really hard for Pinterest. So I think we're going to just have this moment, as I said earlier, where people are going to be actually searching for human stuff. And I think the winner of all of this is going to be the person who merges the human with the tool. Like the moment that we like something because it's an AI movie meant that storyteller or director probably didn't make a good movie, right? Like none of us, in my days, it was VFX, right? Like I remember Will Smith was saying, my best co-star is a visual effects, VFX. But I didn't watch Independence Day and say, wow, this is a really great VFX movie. I said, this is a really good alien movie.
The minute you're looking at the effects of a movie, and it has happened with many big movies, it's not a good movie.
Yeah. If that's what it's about, then the story didn't really touch you.
Right.
And I think that's why we got a lot of superhero fatigue right now.
Yeah. What's one conversation or insight you've had, when you go to your fantastic meetings with your Harvard alum, on their jets and yachts. What's a deep insight that you've had that you could share with us?
98% of the wealth you'll make in your life will come from relationships.
Wow. That is pretty serious.
Yeah, I don't think we truly deeply imbibe that.
Where did this come from?
I had a great meeting with a buddy of mine who actually is one of the co-founders of OpenAI. And we were just chatting, and he's a great guy. I won't mention his name because obviously he's a billionaire. And I was just like, so like, what do you value the most? And he was like, my friends and my family.
If I was a billionaire, I would probably say the same thing because money is out of the equation.
Yeah.
Money is everything till you have lots of it.
Yeah. The rich are rich because they have the freedom to focus on what's important. That's the wealth.
But no, when you say 98% of your wealth comes from your relationships.
Yes.
Do you mean you make 98% of your wealth from your relationships?
I'm saying that.
I'm hanging out with the wrong people, that means.
Yeah, I'm saying that if you take what we would maybe call a rich person and understand the source of why they're rich, 98% of it came from relationships that they have.
So networking?
Networking.
Crony capitalism?
Crony capitalism, also a good one, right? But it's people. And, we talk about AI, we're talking about all of this stuff, but truth is, like, being in the room actually is a higher determinant of your success and your intelligence.
Even in the digital world?
Yes. Be in the room.
Like,
but I mean, be in the room, like there's a great musical called Hamilton. And in that, Hamilton sings, one of the most successful musicals ever. There's a character, I think it's John Burr. And he has a song that says, I want to be in the room where they are. Right. And he's talking about like, he's not in the room where people are making decisions.
Yes. About the American independence.
Yeah. The smartest person in the world is a dumb person in a great room where everyone's smarter than them. Because they figured it out. They're in the room where they are. Right. So I think a lot of people, especially with this whole work from home and all this, now you want to kind of be in the room. Even if you don't belong there, like get there.
Touch and feel. So physicality.
Not just physicality, but proximity.
Proximity, yeah. But proximity
but that room can be a Zoom.
It can be a Zoom. Okay, it can
But be on the call.
Be on the call.
Camera on.
Got it.
I don't know if you find like these have you heard about the moonlighting thing? We were talking about it earlier, but it's so important.
Right.
Like I was reading on Reddit, there's a guide for how to moonlight, which basically means how can I have more than one full-time job?
Nice.
And in the guide, it was do as little as possible to not be noticed, make no friends in the office, and don't turn your camera on company phone calls.
Be invisible.
Well, you have to be visible enough so they don't fire you.
Right.
But not visible enough so they know that you have 4 jobs.
Right.
And
like a Dilbert cartoon.
Yeah, this is a big thing in India. And I was like, I read that. I was so sad. I was just like, I get it. You're going to make a little bit more money this year. But boy, you're really missing out on life.
Yeah.
Like meaningfully not trying to make friends with people. Like that's this whole thing.
That's a good movie.
Right.
It's a good comedy series from that. Like this really funny guy or girl who's spent their whole time meaningfully trying not to make friends. But
they actually make friends.
But they make friends.
Yeah.
I like that. It like twists the whole thing on your head.
There you go. Let's make it.